Welcome to the General Services Committee meeting. Today is January 12th, and I'm here with Council Members Wood and English. Today we have 3 item agendas, and the first one being approval of a sole source purchase of brine salt from Crapo Ltd. And with us today is Justin Kimberling, our Streets and Engineering Assistant Director.
Afternoon, Council. Thanks for having me today. Just a short conversation on salt, basic table salt. Since about 2008, the city has been producing its own liquid de-icer. It is sodium chloride, so it is just regular rock salt. Every year since then, we have tried to increase our efficiency in our production. So probably the first year, we could only make about a few thousand gallons an hour, maybe. Then we started changing products, changing what kind of salt we use, changing our machinery around. Now we have to where we're producing between 6,000 and 7,000 gallons an hour. It doesn't sound like a lot of difference, but the same people that are producing that salt brine are also the snowplow operators. So saving hours and hours of time behind the machine making that, they could be out on the road plowing. So it's huge for us to do that. All of our salt that we get now does come from one plant in Utah. It's the only place that actually makes an extra coarse brine salt. It's a special manufacturing process. Nobody else in the region makes it, and that is where we have been buying it since 2008. So, with that said, I am looking to do a sole source agreement with Crapo Ltd. for the 25-26 winter season to keep purchasing that particular product.
Thank you. Any questions?
Well, Madam Chair, maybe one. We're in the middle of winter, so is this something we normally do in January? We just don't have the supplies right now, or is it just the continuing contract?
Just doing a contract. In previous years, we have not.
I get you. Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, and I'm still kind of waiting for winter, but anyway, I would make a motion to recommend that council approve the sole source purchase of brine salt from Crapo Ltd.
Second?
Oh, I'm sorry. I really am here today. I thought you were still talking. Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
And consent is fine on that, don't you think? Or?
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Item number 2 is negotiations with the Coeur d'Alene Firefighters Local 710, approval of the reorganization of the fire department staffing, and amendment number 1 to the fire union agreement. And with this is Fire Chief Tom Greif. Welcome, Tom.
Good afternoon, members of the City Council, and thank you for having me today. So there's a few different parts to this, so I'm going to work through this. The staff report, I'm asking for your support and approval for the proposed amendments in the CBA, establishing a division chief rank and compensation, as well as a proposed reorg restructure within the fire department. Before I get started, I just want to clarify, because I've had some people in the community reach out. The restructure is defined within admin. It's not from the top to the bottom, the 63 line personnel. I've had some community members reach out, so I just want to get that on record. This is a restructure in admin, and I'll talk about some of the benefits and opportunities and why we did that here in just a second. So when we started out looking at this need to bring the EMS officer up to a chief officer level, we've been vacant in that position since July. The current EMS officer went back to the line, and so today we have a deputy chief that's doing both the EMS officer role and his training role. And so when we looked at the need to bring this up to a chief officer role, it's really warranted due to actually be doing the same job. The difference is the division chief is within the collective bargaining unit or represented position. The other 3 are exempt and unrepresented. And so we felt that we would begin to see a compression with wages when you have 4 doing the same thing, but they're considered different positions. And so that and you're going to hear me say opportunity and timing is a benefit right now. As we know, we have 4 of us leave. Well, we have a vacancy in EMS and then 3 of us in administration leaving. It's pretty rare you see a turnover like that in such a short period of time. So myself in April, Jeff Sells' last day is next Friday. He's our EMS, or our operations deputy chief. And then Bill DeRider, our deputy chief of training, will be leaving in July. And so we felt it was prudent to look at the bigger picture now. So asking to bring the EMS officer up was the first part. And then how does this fit into the big picture moving down the road? We didn't want to kick the can down the road. We want to try to fix this and give you a sustainable model for the new leadership coming in so that they can worry about other things. And so we worked with the union, city administration, and we took a broader approach to this. So in the reorganization, you're going to see a few changes here. So this is the proposed organizational structure. So we were proposing that we take the deputy chief of operations and move it to a position that you see assistant fire chief. So operations deals with all the service delivery and all the people in the fire department. When we reach out and look at other models and other fire departments, it's industry standards show that that position commonly is identified as assistant fire chief. And what it also does is it gives us a better defined chain of command within our structure too. And so if you look down below, what we would need to do to avoid the compression issues would be rename the logistics deputy chief as a division chief, the training deputy chief as a division chief, and then bring that EMS up. And so now you have a clear layer of division chiefs that will all be in the collective bargaining unit or represented. You'll still have a layer of exempt positions, the fire chief, the assistant fire chief, and then the last part of the equation in the org chart would be the fire marshal. So today, currently, we have 2 deputy fire marshals. Both are in the collective bargaining unit, and both are represented. Why we've looked at this in the past as well. So our prevention bureau, they're a little different division within fire departments. They have a lot of autonomy in their day-to-day operations. And so looking at that clear leadership, supervisory role in the Prevention Bureau, we felt was warranted since we're taking a broad approach to this whole thing. And so we come forward with that fire marshal position as well, which would be exempt. So that would be a change. So today's structure, if we go back, you would see that we have, let's see, I'll leave it the way it is. We have 4 exempts in admin and 3 represented positions in the union, and with the new proposed model, you would have 3 exempts and 4 positions that would be within the represented or collective bargaining unit moving forward, which is this new model here.
Chief Greif, may I ask a question?
Yes.
So just to be clear, the 3 exempt are the fire chief, the fire marshal, and the assistant fire chief.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Going back, our motivation to do this was not, we didn't feel like this was a cost savings. That wasn't the motivation. The motivation was we had a vacancy. We have 3 additional folks retiring, and it was a good opportunity to look at the model to make sure that it was sustainable moving into the future. A couple positives that this does, and I think you would agree with me, it's important to recruit folks from within your organization to move up in your ranks. Traditionally, there's been apprehension to make the magic walk across the parking lot into admin and become exempt. And so the division chief positions will create a possible pathway back to the line personnel if ever in their career they decide, if life changes and someone wants to finish their career back on the line, there's that pathway back. And so we feel like it's going to motivate folks to look at coming to admin more than they traditionally have in the past because it was always exempt. And so that's a benefit for us when we were looking at this, especially going to that division chief model that falls within the bargaining unit. I'm not asking for additional personnel or staffing to accomplish this. And with the help of our finance director and HR, there is a cost analysis on there of approximately $56,000 to implement this the first year. And at this point, I would entertain questions. I have our union president, Gabe Eckert, here as well, and our finance director can assist. Melissa Tozzi's out.
Councilman?
Sure. And I think that the new model, it certainly the org chart and all of that makes a lot of sense. And when you get to, let's see, the 1, 2, 3 chiefs under the assistant fire chief, just like broadly right now, how many people would each of them be supervising? I mean, now or down the road? Just kind of wondering, I mean, equivalency between how many people do they deal with? That's not always the only thing, but just wondering about that.
Correct. So in our profession, 5 to 7 is an ideal span of
Okay.
control on the fire ground, also in the office, and that would fall within that. The only difference would be that true assistant chief. So right now, if I'm gone, we
Yeah.
have deputies, and it's kind of default who's going to be number 2 or in charge in my absence. So this will clearly define the chain of command in the fire department, as well as the prevention bureau also.
Okay, so none of them are lopsided, either way bigger or way smaller than, okay, thanks.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, I've had a lot of conversation with Chief Greif, Deputy Chief DeRuyter, and certainly Gabe with the union. And I had some real questions about the structure. And we spent a lot of time on this, trying to figure out, is this advantageous to the city at the same time it's advantageous to the fire department and the union? And Troy, I almost called you in Hawaii, but I took pity on you, let you live your life. These guys have been great walking me through this. One of the biggest concerns I had was the delineation between the union and admin. So we spent a lot of time on that, and I've been assured by Chief Greif that the assistant fire chief and the chief will be the people that handle any personnel rules, any kind of discipline that could come up, or, personnel issues. I think that's important to the integrity of the fire department and the integrity of the union, that there's that separation. And I've been assured that that's what's going to happen. Now, that doesn't mean that battalion chiefs or these division chiefs wouldn't have conversations with their personnel, do their normal route of evaluation and corrective action. But serious personnel issues, if I remember our conversation right, will go to the assistant chief and to you.
Correct, yeah. So when we met, we have a fire department progressive discipline policy that we worked with our local and city administration, I don't remember how many years ago, probably 10 or 12. Anything above a letter of expectation comes to us right now in admin, and we always work with legal, HR, and we bring the union president in. You can't unwind due process issues, so we, right off the beginning, if we think a complaint's even got a chance of going to some sort of discipline, we always bring the union president in on it, as well as HR and legal.
Okay.
So we try to be proactive with that.
I agree with your description of the EMS person. The duties are much broader than they were ever intended to be. If I recall correctly, we brought that person in during COVID to manage all the COVID grants, and those aren't in place anymore, but the duties have expanded greatly, and they're really at the level of a division chief. So I can grasp that. I can grasp putting that person where they belong, but when you do that, the compression is the wages, as you've described. And so the other division or deputy chiefs would not accrue overtime, call-out pay, any of that. but their counterpart would in
Yep.
the current model. I can grasp that that's an issue. I'm glad you said Katie's here today. May I continue?
Yes,
Thank
absolutely.
you.
Yep.
Thank you. Because we do have the estimate of what the cost of implementation is, $56,000 this year. I think it's important for council, when this gets to us, to have the discussion of, well, what do you anticipate in the coming years? And so maybe, Katie, you could address that. And how we're going to cover it immediately.
Yeah, so what would be coming in future years, this would be an ongoing cost, and it would be, increasing by the annual merit increases if there were. These individuals likely would end up maxed out, because, just depending on who would promote to these positions. So we did run the calculation with the individuals filling the newly reorged positions as being maxed out. So that would be the ongoing cost. What I didn't factor into this was with the division chief, I believe that's a pay grade lower than the current deputy chief. And so there would be some savings I didn't account for. I don't think it would be enough to cover the cost here. And so it just becomes a question of, is this a budget amendment that council would like to make, given, balancing the operational issues or resolutions, so.
Okay. When we come to council with this, could we maybe have some sort of forecast in writing?
Yes, I believe it was, forecast is an ongoing. I believe it was in the staff report.
I didn't see, I just saw the total cost.
At the bottom of our staff report, it does state anticipated total annual increase to the budget is approximately $56,000.
Okay, every annual, thank you. Okay,
All right.
that concludes my questions.
Thank you. Well, I just want to add that I think opportunity and timing is key, and I want to thank both the Local 710 and administration and Troy for all the work done on this, as well as our fellow council members, because I know there's been a lot of questions and work throughout the last couple of weeks. I think this is a great opportunity for the department and for internal interest for growth. So with that, I'll entertain a motion.
Let's see, I'll make a motion to recommend that the council approve the reorganization of fire department staffing and amendment number 1 to the fire union agreement.
Second?
Any further discussion? Well, I look forward to getting a few more details at council, and we'll put this on our regular agenda. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 3, approval of a professional services agreement with Best Day HR for a citywide classification and compensation study. And with us today is Troy Tymeson, our city administrator, who's graciously filling in for Melissa Tosi, who's out today.
Thank you, council members. Happy New Year. I'd actually just like to go back and talk more about that last item, because I know way more about that than I do about this one. And the benefit to the city on looking at that timing in our fire department, working with the local EMS chief was a big deal. I'm stalling here as I attempt to figure out what it is I want to say. My suggestion to you, since you do not have the expertise at the podium, because Melissa has been called away for jury duty and was not able to get out this morning, so it was a really good plan. We just didn't see all the variables. Is to keep this moving forward. You probably wouldn't make necessarily anything other than asking for it to come forward to council. So with a staff report that was in your packet and the fact that we've discussed this with council, we would like to bring forward the opportunity and the dollars necessary to go and do a compensation and classification study. The last time we did this as a city was 2017. The group then was BDPA. They do not exist anymore. They retired and moved on. We worked with Ameriben, and they moved out of this line of business as well. And so that led us to looking for the best local organization and getting some quotes for their services. And that company is called Best Day HR. So they have looked at what we are desiring and have a total projected cost of $55,000 for the items that are in there. And then if it goes above that, it's $185 per hour. So again, the years tick by quickly. It's been over 9 years since we've taken a look at this. We've had a number of changes in the city over those 9 years. You're looking at a very recent one on item 2 on your agenda today. We currently have 22 pay grades. It starts out at the number 1. We have no one that's paid at grade level number 1. So a quick snapshot is we probably have too many pay grades and too wide an area between grade 17 to 18 to 19 to 20 to 21 and 22. We probably need 17 and a half pay grade and an 18 and a half pay grade. But that's just my way of boiling down what work needs to be done based on the way in which the city does business. We have people that work in information technology that if we go back 9 years, probably isn't equal to the value that we have in IT today, especially after what the city has experienced. We know that we have qualified attorneys over here. We've looked at their pay grade. This is all for you, Ryan, is to recruit heavier. We need to have some more dollars behind their salaries. We are down one attorney and have been down for an attorney for, Ryan could tell you the exact number of days, but it's been way too long. And so this compensation study would look at that. So again, the expert is not here. We are looking for your assistance. I know you have some questions. Well, I did a pretty good job so far here. So again, we are looking to get into the police officer side of this as well. We would level the grades so that a worker in wastewater can be compared to a worker in water across the city to make sure it levels out with a person in the library. So you have a totally complete city. So it's very difficult to look at all those job descriptions and level them when you have approximately 13 different departments that are doing city business. And that equity is the challenge that we need this consultant to help us with. So we're looking for about 90 days to get this done. We would work with groups that would be a member of the project team. We're looking to take most of the $55,000 out of savings that we have in professional services in the Department of Human Resources, combined with the line item that we had in the budget. It's very important when we go into negotiations to get this done so we can have comparables so that we don't sit at the negotiation table and work through those line items with the bargaining groups, because then we're going to leave somebody out or we're going to miss something. Best Day has been very responsive. They've done good work throughout our area, primarily in Idaho, but they have gone outside the area. We know that we compete with people across the state line called Washington. Department heads would be involved, a committee to help with the questions, disseminate the information, get the feedback.
All three
They've all agreed to it. They've all agreed to it.
are in support.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
I think that's
You're
important
welcome.
to note. Councilman.
Just to say that this is something we've been talking for some time, one version or another, about the studies, and we've talked off and on about in-house or what we can do and all of that. And I am generally very supportive of these kind of efforts. And frankly, we're pretty efficient city staffing. So I think these are some cases where it really makes sense that, we don't have extra people lying around to do some of this, and we have other people who, do it for a living. And so I think that this is money, in the huge span of things, that's not a whole lot, but it's money well spent to do our due diligence, take a look at that, and also just in looking at kind of their customer list, I think, I think that's a good mix of different kinds of government entities, different types, and so, yeah, I'm very supportive of keeping this moving, get it going. We've got got a whole lot of big key things, so let's keep it going, so.
Great observation, and council, they also have a repository of data, which makes this move a lot smoother, because you're correct, that's not a huge number for this type of work endeavor for all the different, we have 420 folks working for the city of Coeur d'Alene. There's a number of different positions in there that they'll need to level.
Councilmember.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, Troy, you're right. You're not going to be able to answer some of these tough specific, but I'm going to send you and Melissa my notes.
Thank you.
But I'm going to ask some of it right now, because that's why we're all here.
Give them fair warning, okay.
So I agree. We've always talked about whether we should do a compensation study, and in theory, we have agreed that we do need to do that. I guess the issue is how and by who and how much it's going to cost. And then once it's done, what's the plan to implement it? Because we could either be at market with most of our employees, or we could be under market. And as we all know, our budget is already not as full as we'd like it to be. So, question number one, the cost for the project is $55,000. And what we receive for that is, it's $185 an hour for a consultant. And so that gives us about 297 hours of their time. Now, there's a little bit of something needs to be cleared up, because they estimated 286 to 362 hours. So if they were to put in that max, then the cost goes up to almost $67,000. So we need clarification on that.
What they do in giving us a whole price is they have different costs per person as the work is done. So they've done the back side of that, where they have an analyst that wouldn't be at that full $185 an hour. So that'd be at $135. They've averaged that out over those hours, allocated that total amount, and then came up, because we wanted a whole dollar amount, so we didn't run into just exactly what you're looking at. And so if you can appreciate that, so the analyst is $100 an hour. I don't know that for sure. The top person there is probably $150 an hour. And then you put overhead on that and came out to a whole dollar amount for those hours. Then if we go above that, we'll be paying probably the first class rate of
The premium.
$185 an hour.
And then how do we decide? How is it decided if we were going to go above that? I mean,
We'd watch the hours in working with them, or if we came back and said, we want you to spend more time on this section of that analysis, they would let us know that it's going to be more than what they had put in.
okay.
Councilmember,
Yeah.
may I ask a question?
Yeah.
Would it be helpful to have the staff recommend a cap?
Well, we could, but it sounds like they maybe would have to come back to us, because they just can't forecast it.
Right. So
So-
I would say our cap is $55,000.
Okay.
And anything above that, we'd have to say, what is going on? What are we looking for? Maybe we don't fully understand what we'll pick on fire department, a divisional chief. I'm sure they do, but
Okay.
good
I
point.
have more, if you don't mind. Now's the time to do this,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
All right, so the breakdown of the hours and how they'll be assigned is detailed on page 6 of the proposal. Do you have the written one in front of you?
I do.
Okay. So just me, and I'm only speaking as one council member, I see the most critical component for the existing employees is their job description review. That's only allotted 15 to 20 hours. And so to me, that means they're just going to review the information that is on hand we have right now from HR, and they won't be conducting employee interviews to find the in-depth scope of duties. They also list the kinds and levels evaluation at 40 to 60. And Melissa,
no.
I will do the same for you. I'll send you all this. I'm not expecting an on-the-spot answer, but I wrote it this morning, or you would have got it before.
Yeah, no problem.
So are you able to go back and talk about data cleaning and normalization and why what is it, and why will it take 40 to 60 hours? 30 to
Data,
40 hours for that one.
I would have to pull the agreement and see how the context of that was phrased. I think that they're probably referring to some of the information maybe in the job descriptions and cleaning that up. I did hear the question on the 55,000 on the scope of work and the hourly rate. They think that the scope of the project, everything that's in that agreement, they'll be able to get done under that $55,000. There shouldn't be a worry of additional work with the scope of the project going outside of that. They quoted the $185 for if we choose to do anything outside of what the scope of work is, that's what they would do the services for. And the original proposal did not have the breaking down the specialty pay for the police sworn positions. And so if they can't do that within the scope of work, that's what it would cost.
Okay, thank you. On that topic, was this requested by the Police Association to look at their specialty pay? Is
Yes.
it okay, for
Yes.
market adjustment?
Yes, when we were having the discussions and negotiations on the study, they preferred that the consultants look at all the buckets of pay. That included the specialty pay.
Okay. All right, then, my question was on page 3, scope of work. Do they intend to, will it be, I suppose us, assigning liaisons and team roles? Are these city employees?
The scope of work would be for the consultants, so there'll be a team that we work with over at Best Day HR that would be the people that they
And
assign
the
to
liaisons are
project,
their
yes.
people?
Yes, and
Okay.
then we will have a committee that has a representative from each employee group, and a few department heads had volunteered to be part of that. That will be important to work with their, to get information back and forth to each department and help facilitate that as well.
Okay. On the same page, bullet number 4, and I'm just going to tell you, I've looked at a lot of contracts over the years for the city, school district, the college, and I've done a lot of collective bargaining on both sides. I have no idea what standardized peer city data format means or develop a crosswalk between internal and external job structures, but they list it out with what they're going to do for us. I don't know what any of that is. So before it
look
comes
into
back
that
to
and get
council,
back to
maybe
you.
you could
Sure.
take a look at that.
Sure.
Because if we're going to pay them, we really want their time spent on what matters to us, is what I'm getting at.
Of course.
So, bullet point number 6 on page 4, the first bullet point, use a structured methodology to evaluate complexity, decision-making, supervision, and impact. What methodology? I mean, I'd like them to explain that to us, and the best way to do that, because again, I think reviewing job descriptions will be the most important to our current employees, is I'd like to see an example of their work. And the name of the city could be removed so that their work product is protected. But I'd like to just kind of see a study that they've done.
Okay.
That would be great to have. Not to pick it apart, just to understand it.
Sure.
So, I do have a counterproposal that I'd like to bring forward. I'm going to send that to you and Troy, and then ask that it be sent on to council at the same time as this. I won't get into all the details, but it's really about disagreeing with my fellow councilman, who I like very much, that
Most of the time, okay.
all the time, that I do think there's an opportunity for us to use our own professionals to do this at a lot less cost and provide a fair stipend to those people that are doing it, which you would obviously be part of that, for a lot less cost and maybe a lot more buy-in from our own employees. So I'm going to send that to you. My projected cost is only $15,000, which the original proposal from you was $10,000, and I said that's not enough, not to do something this comprehensive. So I'm kind of going back on that a little bit by saying we could do it from within for $15,000. But council needs to take a look, see if they're at least a bit interested. So I won't get into all the details today, but I'll send it to you. But I would say that I would like whichever, whether it's paid consultant or it's our own professionals doing this, I'd like to see some part of a Katie being part of the team and providing a 5-year financial plan on how we're going to implement any proposals that call for the upward in the market. And then, of course, council will have final say on the budget every year as what adjustments we could feasibly do.
Just to reply to a couple of those comments, the $10,000 originally wasn't for a full study. It was just for a group of exempt employees at the time, and we kind of started that discussion a couple years ago. So now, 3 years later, we're at the point that we really need to look at all of our benchmark positions. We are struggling in some of the exempt areas like attorneys, much like many other jurisdictions are. It's a challenging position to fill, but we really need to look at all of our positions. So that's why the study is quite a bit more than the originally proposed 10,000. That was just a different study entirely. And then the finance director and myself, we're always involved in looking at the wages and budget process, but I personally wouldn't recommend having an internal group do the leveling. Generally, our employees do prefer to have a unbiased. It's not that we can't be unbiased, but it's generally better to take the internal positions out of those recommendations and have a consultant review that.
I appreciate those comments, and so I'm just going to send my counter proposal, and people can look at it, not look at it, whatever they want to do. But I completely agree that we need to do the study.
Yep.
I don't have any issues with that. So, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Troy, I'm going to look to you for guidance right now. It sounds like if I'm going to read between the lines and the number of questions we have, we're not ready to make a recommendation to council at this point. So do we need a motion to table it, or can we just ask it to be placed on the agenda at the next council member?
I like that idea a lot. We can answer those questions. We want council's other input as well so that you can have it at that. And we want to get this to whatever level it's going to go to so that we can keep this consultant going and potentially get that business in there. It works into our time frame for budgets and everything else if this takes 90 days, and there is a potential negotiation with a group this year as well.
Thank you. And council members, are you comfortable with that as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would just say that I really would like to see it on there, even if, and I guess I would like to see it on there as at least a potential action item, but at least to keep the momentum going. Some of our key people, as we know, apart from, HR, some of our people who are, as I hear it, retiring, sailing off and all that. So, we, as much of our current input as we have the benefit of, the better, and just to keep the momentum. And it's never too early to be thinking about budget stuff, and this ties right in. So, so as much as we can keep it alive, let's do it.
Great, thank you. So we'll move this item to our full agenda item for the next council meeting, please. Yes, for discussion, thank you.
Would you like a motion on that, Madam Chair?
Do we need a? Yes, please.
Okay. I would move to recommend council, I don't want to say approve. Discuss a professional service agreement with Best Day HR for a citywide classification and compensation study.
Yes, discuss. Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
General Services is now adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.